Hey, welcome yet to another weekly Episodic podcast coming to you live from the mean streets of Nora, Connecticut. I am your host of The Navarro Show. My name is Israel Navarro. I am glad to wish you guys a Happy New Year's again. This is the first episode of 2019. Was a great start for the year. I was able to visit my girlfriend. She was having little festive activities with her family on New Year's Eve. And then during the day, I went up to Massachusetts to visit some family members that I have over there. And by the way, it was exciting, it was fun. One of the coolest things too, I tried out the new 2018 Toyota Corolla. I enjoyed the ride. I enjoyed how it felt, the speed, the control, everything that car has to offer. I think it's highly recommended. If you are in the car business, that is the car you have to go out there and look for. But not only is that, we're going to talk about on today's episode of The Navarro Show, I think it's very interesting. We talk about Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, who is a polarizing figure in the world of professional wrestling. And not only is that, but also in the world of football. And how so? Because this is not the first time he's taken a go at the XFL. But why is it McMahon wants an XFL after achieving so much success in the professional wrestling industry? So we're not going to take too much with this intro. We're going to cut it off here so we can get into this topic that we are discussing today. Hey, thank you for being a loyal listener of The Navarro Show. And remember, hit that subscribe button on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any platform podcasts are heard. Remember, we're going to always bring you exciting context about the XFL or any local New York sports team and what's going on with them. So don't miss out on any of our content. Hit that subscribe button now. Alright, we're hitting that record button here today for this new episode of The Navarro Show for 2019. And we're talking about none other of the founder of the XFL himself, Vincent Kennedy McMahon. A polarizing figure in the world of professional wrestling, and truly a man that can call himself a self-made billionaire. And why? A lot of people ask themselves, why can he do that? Simply, even though Vince McMahon's father, Vince McMahon Sr., was running the territory of Northeast of North America in the professional wrestling, with the WWF. But Vince McMahon himself, the founder of the XFL and the current chairman of the board for the World Wrestling Entertainment, grew up in a trailer park in North Carolina. We have to remember that his parents divorced and he went on to live with his mom. He took his stepfather's last name. He was abused as a child. This is a man that actually said if he didn't get out of his situation, he would have totally killed his stepfather. Not only that, but when he became older and when he came to the age of 16 and started to establish that relationship with his father, that's when he fell in love with the industry of professional wrestling. Not only has that polarized him, that brought him his relationship to his father, Vince McMahon Sr., and to his grandfather, who started in the original Madison Square Garden. We're talking about where Madison Square Garden Park, where the original Shake Shack is, for those who like to eat burgers, know that area. Well, right there was the original Madison Square Garden, and right there, his grandfather went on to start promoting boxing and the industry of professional wrestling, and then his father just focused more on the wrestling aspect. So, this is a family that's always been, for the last century, basically, involved in this industry. But where does Vince McMahon's love for football come from? Well, he was not a collegiate football player, but he did play at his high school. He did play for the football. He did play linebacker. It's such an influential, had such an influence on his life that he told stories to his son Shane. That Shane went on to not only play in Greenwich High School for the football team, but he's also carried his own father's number. Now, Vince McMahon, no question, is a businessman. We always can take so much reality out of the wrestling industry, and we think that's the guy. And we need to separate right now that Vince McMahon, when we see him on the television screen, is playing a character. It's not who he is. You know, not the cocky, arrogant boss, egotistical, maniacal guy who wanted to take down Stone Cold, John Cena, or any wrestlers that got in. No, that's his character. That was his way to promote these wrestlers or sports entertainment. You know, he took the professional wrestling industry, while for so many years they tried to protect it as a legit sport. That meant the wrestlers had to have actual physical license like boxers so they could wrestle in these states. And what he did, so he didn't have to pay taxes or worry about getting licenses and getting medical staffs and all this stuff, he turned around and said, professional wrestling is basically sports entertainment. And why did he decide to call it sports entertainment? It was simple. It's an entertainment. Yes, as everyone says, wrestling is fake. It's not fake. You know, if you right now were to grab and suplex a family member, or like I did, and many of you guys who are listening to this podcast actually put the Scorpion Deathlock and seriously hurt your younger sibling, and then you got in trouble with your parents. Well, these people are actually putting their bodies on the line 320 days of a year. They're on the road. You know, this is not like it's not like baseball, it's not like football, it's not, no sports where it's just a season. No, this is year round, 52 days a week. They do 4 to 5 shows a week. They hardly see their families. Yes, they, when they go in, they know if they're going to win and lose that night, but they're constantly going, doing all this acrobatic work, and they seriously hurt themselves. Vince McMahon took the industry, and when he got involved, wrestling was very a territorial industry. But when he started taking over the control, before he got involved with WrestleMania, which is the Super Bowl of the WWE, he actually took and jumped on the cable television movement, which he noticed that if everyone had the USA Network from Los Angeles to New York, all he had to do was film the show no matter what part he is. He taped it, give it to the TV network, and say, okay, someone 9 o'clock Eastern time saw the show, but then later, 9 o'clock on San Francisco time, they were able to watch it. And he was able to put the same product around the world where other promoters didn't. And so that's where he was able to build his company. That's where he was able to build it to $1 billion industry. Everything we're seeing in WWE, many interviews, if you interview Hulk Hogan, there's a guy named Bruce Pritchard, they all talk to you about, hey, everything that you're seeing now in the WWE, he was talking about it 20 years ago. What is going on today? He said he wanted to fill football stadiums with professional wrestlers performing there. He wanted a television network. That's where he got the WWE network. He always wanted to do more, and he still wants to do more. But where does football come in? When in 2001, when he was approached, I think it was actually year 2000 or 1999 to be more exact, he was approached by the Canadian Football League to own a football team. Now, Vince McMahon has nothing against Canada. We already know that he hosted 2 WrestleManias there. He's bringing now a major pay-per-view event back to Canada during the summer. The guy, has promoted some of the greatest wrestlers from Canada. But he didn't want to own a Canadian football team. So what happened in the year 2000, that's when he came in and announced, hey, I'm going to start the XFL, which was a smash mouth, gimmick footballers in the aspect of professional wrestling. He really wanted to bring that into the match, bring like a WWE style to the football game. Having it legit doesn't, they have the players smash mouth to trash talk, wear nicknames on their jerseys, all these things that you would expect in like a WWE kind of environment, just bring it into a football. No nonsense, no political correctness, none of that stuff. At the time too, you got to understand at the turn of the century, we weren't so aware of what concussions were, and and all the health factors that were, football players would have after their career, in football. So, it was just nonsense, taking all these rules and everything. He decides, he launches the league, he launches it with NBC Sports, then, obviously defunct. Vince McMahon continued to be in the part of the world of wrestling. He continued now, right now, basically this year, 2019, WrestleMania is coming back to New York. It's going to fill the MetLife Stadium where one of the XFL teams are going to be playing out of this year. And he's took into WWE and made it a $1 billion industry. Not only is that, last year, September, Forbes ranked him as a billionaire with a net worth of $3.5 billion. The man has money. He's taking a company, a style of an industry that usually, I think, if it was a good territory, they were just making around 10 million. He took it and made it a global enterprise. There is exclusive WWE programming so far in England. I suspect that they're going to start doing same thing in Mexico and Japan. We're going to see them actually start delivering that. You're going to see that they're going to bring that style of wrestling there. We're also going to have to expect that we're going to see that Vince McMahon is going to be not so present in the XFL. And now, after talking all briefly about his professional wrestling, why am I saying he's not going to be present with the XFL? One is because WWE has positioned itself with two great business deals with NBC and Fox that have brought them over $2 billion guaranteed. Not only is that, they also have $100 million from the Saudi Arabia government to do exclusive wrestling shows in Saudi Arabia. So WWE at this time is bigger and badder and faster, and it's a huge money machine. It's a brand that he took the company and made it into such a global brand that there's so much demands, And when he announced the XFL this time, he wanted to bring back. He sold over $100 million worth of stock that he had in the WWE to fund this league. He's taking out of his own personal money to put Alpha Entertainment, which is the company that owns the XFL. He basically did stuff he didn't do the last time. The last time he was very up front in the cameras. And this time, now we're seeing Vince McMahon. The only time I've seen Vince McMahon talk about the XFL was when he announced it in January 2018, like, hey, we're bringing the XFL back. And then, just a few weeks ago, here in MetLife Stadium, when they announced the 8 teams, and all he basically came out was like, yep, I'm the founder of the league. We're just reimagining the game of football. I'm matured. Social media is going to be great for what we're trying to do, and we are going to reimagine the game. That was it. And they quickly brought it to the commissioner, Oliver Luck, and he just sat there talking. Oliver Luck sat there just talking. Vince McMahon just said a few words and walked away. And he's just excited. Now, we know Vince McMahon is pumping money into the league. We know he wants certain, I don't even think he chose the markets where the 8 teams were. I don't think he even is determining the names. But this time, I really sat there and I was asking myself during the Christmas break. I call it the Christmas break because that's mostly where people are off with families. I was like, why did Vince McMahon want to bring a league back? Why did he want to do it? He was just doing so much fine in the WWE. The WWE hasn't even been bigger, is now bigger than when he launched the XFL in 2001. Like, why does he want to bring back football? Well, I've been watching videos. A lot of people are saying that this guy's just going to lose more money. He's just wasting his money to invest in this league. No. Sit there and look at it. WWE, way before anyone else, was very aware of concussions. Most professional wrestling companies out there aren't aware. As long as the wrestler feels healthy, they just let him perform. They get the entertainment out. Now WWE, they have a wrestler gets injured or something, they sideline them. They have medical doctors. They have to pass all these concussion tests. Like right now, one of the female wrestlers, Alexa Bliss, she suffered a concussion. She has not been wrestling now for 6 months. They have her on TV, but they don't want her even getting taking a bump, as they call it in the business. So right there, the NFL fails when it comes to concussions. The league tries to do all these rules that, no question, makes the game more complex to understand. But one of the things people have stopped watching the NFL is because their lack of understanding or accepting studies on concussions. They're not taking players' health. So Vince McMahon, when he announced, hey, we're going to bring a healthier style of football and we're going to take care of our players' health. We're bringing medical professionals to help us when we're designing the game of football to see that the players... Vince McMahon is looking on bringing a healthier football league that would appeal to those people who are upset with the NFL, that aren't trying to become healthier. Vince McMahon is actually looking to make a healthier football league. Not only is that, he's seeing the decline. And this decline in the NFL is not the first time. This decline was seen in the 80s, and that's when the USFL came in. So he's doing this, and he's seeing, okay, there's declining ratings. We may touch to those core, true, passionate football fans. We may get them again. He's looking at it on the standpoint of, well, there's huge demand of professional football players. Because look, one of his top guys, The Rock, played collegiate football in the University of Miami, won the national championship in 1994. Tried to get into the NFL, he didn't. Tried to get into the CFL, he couldn't. And then when he tried to make it in the WWE, he made it. Because no question, he's a third generation wrestler, so I think he had a lot more connection. He understood the industry a lot better. That's why he was able to succeed in the wrestling in the short period of time that he did. But imagine that the XFL was around at that time when The Rock failed in the NFL and basically failed to make it to the CFL. Maybe The Rock could have made it to play in the XFL, and instead of being a wrestling legend, he would be an XFL legend. So right there, there's so much people who love to play the game of football, but they have to go, if they don't make it here, they got to go to Canada. And if they don't make it to Canada, they got to come back here. And if they didn't really, they thought they were going to make it as a professional football player, and they didn't take a serious college degree, they're going to have a hard time finding a job. Well, so now Vince McMahon sees he's giving people opportunity to play. Yes, he sees that politics has really upset the NFL now with fans of the NFL, because we're seeing owners being too hard on their players when it comes to kneeling during the national anthem. We're seeing that players are lashing out with their owners. Then we're seeing fans lashing out with the phone. So there's so much political attention. Well, he basically said everyone's just going to stand for the league, for the anthem. We're going to keep politics outside. If the player wants to do wants to get into politics or politically protest something, he has to do it outside of the XFL when it's off season, when it's not with this. So right there, we're seeing Vince McMahon saying health is a key thing. We got to bring a football league that's healthier and will appeal and to encourage a sport that's such popular in America. We're also seeing that he's seeing that politics have to step away. The other thing too is the criminal record, which I obviously would disqualify Johnny Manziel to ever playing for that league. That completely disqualifies him. But we're seeing that, like a Colin Kaepernick, even though take away all his his protesting and the conflicts he has with the owner, just bring Colin Kaepernick to play football. Have him just play football. Don't worry about everything else. But then after the season's done, or when he's not in uniform, do talk about what he feels passionate about. Is great. And believe me, Vince McMahon supports 100% supports Colin Kaepernick, because he's a huge fan of Dr. Martin Luther King. Vince McMahon, it's been well known, Vince McMahon's one of his heroes is Dr. King. So I'm pretty sure he's not against the message Colin Kaepernick wants to bring into our society. I'm pretty sure he supports him there. But also, we have a huge 7 to 8 month gap of no football in this country. After college football is done, then professional is done in January. I should say beginning of February, there is no football. You have baseball that takes up a huge chunk of the year. You have basketball that takes up a huge chunk of the year. You have hockey. You have soccer. Football is the only sports that, if you really look on it, from October to basically December, you just have that month, which we're talking about 3 months of solid football. Then you have August, September, it's the beginning of the season. But let's say August is just preseason. So you really don't have that much months of football. And then it's only played once a week. So you really don't have football on television all this time. So now you're going into the February where he wants to launch it, he wants the league to play in the spring. Well, you're seeing that time, baseball hasn't really picked up until March. The same thing with the MLS in this country. The basketball is already, by the month of February, basketball and hockey, the viewership just goes down. It doesn't pick up again until the postseason. So now basically when the first 4 weeks of the league, it's at a time period where sports are really down in America. So to continue that momentum of excitement from the NFL, he's going to put the league right after that. So if you really just want to enjoy more football, right there, hey, Saturday night, Sunday night, or if it's a Wednesday night, who knows? There's more football for you. So he's seeing this. He's not basically spending $1 billion that he has in a league that if he thinks he doesn't want to work. Not only is that, he's really realized he can't be too involved. He can be involved in the aspect of an owner, but if you look at it, he brought Oliver Luck, a guy who was a quarterback for the Houston Oilers, which is now known as the Tennessee Titans. His son is one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL. You're bringing a guy who has been president of the Houston Dynamics or Dynamos, the MLS team. A guy who's been president of college football teams, who's been advisors for NFLs. He's bringing a guy who's been basically his whole life involved in sports, involved in leagues. He brought him here. Not only is that, Oliver Luck is now going to build a team of people who have had experience as NFL players, Canadian football players, people who are just medical professionals that deal with the sport. Oliver Luck has done that. Vince McMahon doesn't. The whole time this year, Oliver Luck has been doing press. He's been talking to radios. Vince McMahon has been sitting behind the line. He only showed up in one press since he announced the league. He didn't even show up on this on the clip announcing Oliver Luck as the commissioner. He didn't even show up. He only showed up to introduce Oliver Luck, and then he just stepped out. And if you look on the social media of the XFL, Vince McMahon is even present. Sure, they follow him, but they're not following, they're not posting things of Vince McMahon doing this with the league. No, he's really let Oliver Luck does it. I'm pretty sure he tells him, hey, Oliver, I'm interested in this. Or Oliver, we have to look into this. I'm pretty sure he does it, but he's letting Oliver Luck run the league. So he's out of it. He's really taking, because he knows if he gets too involved, there's going to be such a negative image in the league. So he wants to make it seem, he wants to really prove that it's legit. Not only is that, you see someone like Jerry Jones supporting Vince McMahon. And yet, even though they have a relationship, Jerry Jones and Vince McMahon, they keep in themselves, Vince McMahon loves football, but he's not even with Jerry Jones getting involved. We're seeing, and Jerry Jones has the money to even start his own professional wrestling company, but the Jacksonville Jaguars owners are doing that, but that's something else. That's something completely we're not talking about that are getting involved. But you're seeing he's taken away. Vince McMahon is seeing a demand. He's he has to appeal to some people who want to see a healthier football league. He's appealing to those people who want to see a simple game of football and understand the rules. Because right now, look at this season with the NFL just passed. The rules now on how you should be sacking a quarterback. Now you have all these people who just completely stopped watching football, or probably just watching college football, but they're not watching professional because all the politics, the owners clashing with the players clashing with the owners, fans, So you're seeing people who just wanted to watch a game of football. He's appealing to them. He's really focusing on him, and he's really and the other thing too, I think is so cool. This is where he talks about social media. I feel like I'm a young guy. I'm in my 20s. We don't understand the potential of social media yet. Some businesses do. You have Gary Vaynerchuk, for an instance, talks about how he's building his empire through social media. Even though he still had VaynerMedia for his company, still still does traditional marketing techniques, but they're also now focusing on that. Vince McMahon is talking about bringing football to that platform. So right now, if we don't hear the XFL has NBC, CBS, ABC, or any of these big TV networks sponsoring the league or promoting the league on their network, I'm pretty sure you're going to see Vince McMahon say, you can watch the XFL on Facebook Watch. Why? Because basically everyone has Facebook. The other thing, you can watch the league on YouTube. Everyone watches something on YouTube a day. So he's already knows what he's doing, and he's talking about having I think he's even pushing for it to have his own app. The WWE has his own app, and now they promote most of the pay-per-views. And people who really want to watch those pay-per-views go on the WWE app. So I'm pretty sure he's going to make the XFL app. So if you want like an NFL Red Zone experience, I think you're going to be able to watch it through that app. That's what he is. He's seeing the need for football. He's seeing all the things that the NFL is doing wrong, but he doesn't want to take the ship. I'm pretty sure he told Oliver Luck, hey, this is what I'm seeing is going on wrong with football. I think we do it a better way? Yeah. Because football, if you really look at it, it's a 2-hour game. Yet, you watch an NFL game, it's 4 hours long. So there's people like, you want to enjoy, come on, 15 minutes for 4 quarters? That's 60 minutes. And then you do the 30 minutes for halftime. Now we're talking about an hour, 30 minutes. It should take up 2 hours, the max. Yet we have the NFL that goes for like 4 hours. Because all the marketing, all the commercials, yes, what it is. I'm pretty sure he's giving ideas to Oliver Luck. But now we're seeing Vince McMahon stepping back. Do I suspect Vince McMahon to step down as the CEO and the chairman of the World Wrestling Entertainment? No. I think he wants to make that, it's going to be a bold statement there. I think he's going to be present in the league when the inaugural games happen. I don't know if he's going to show up at the game in New York, or wherever, but he's just going to still be involved with the WWE. I'm pretty sure the championship game of the XFL will be after WrestleMania in 2020, so he can be at both places, but he's going to be more involved in the WWE. His job as the owner is to shake the hands of the players and that's it. We're not going to see a whole lot of him. And right here in Stamford, Connecticut, the XFL office is across the street from the World Wrestling Entertainment. But you don't see Vince McMahon. I don't think Vince McMahon crosses over. I think he does cross over when he has like some board meeting. But outside of that, no. So right now, Vince McMahon, who's really seen a huge demand for the sport, he's really stacking away. He's staying in his, I like to say, staying in his lane in professional wrestling because he knows that's his way. But he's surrounded himself with people who love football, people who want to make XFL an exciting league, people that really want to bring football in a better and present it in a better, healthier form. He's surrounded himself with people, and he's letting Oliver Luck make those decisions. He's just not gonna. He's gonna be there, but he's not gonna be such a polarizing presence. And that's what we're going to see with this new birth of the XFL. A founder that when he has to appear in front of the camera, he's going to appear in front of the cameras. But other times, he's just going to sit back and enjoy the football game like we as fans, but also stick to his profession, his industry, as the businessman and the wrestling mogul that he is. That's what he's going to do. And I'll guarantee you, if he just stays like that, the XFL is going to succeed, and I'm pretty sure it's going to get to a point where he wants to. The XFL gets to a point where he can sell off teams. Imagine him selling the New York, football team, the New York football team for $100 million. Well, he just made money there. That's what it's going to do. I think he's taking it as the MLS approach, where it was all owned under the same band, but once the league got real popular, they started selling teams out left and right, and then the league became like any other league, and with the teams being owned by different individuals. That's where I believe the XFL wants to go. That's where Vince McMahon wants it. And then if one day it becomes a more premier league than the NFL, well, we know why. And we're stating it. It's healthier football, a more simpler game, and just really changing the aspect of the industry. And he's just going to sit there and enjoy the roses. So that is all for the Navarro Show today. I am your host, and if you guys have any comment on Google Podcasts, Spotify, leave a review, negative or positive. Just leave a review so we can really get this. And if you really enjoy this podcast, just share it with the people that you love or people who love football. Just share it with them. So that way they can really get some knowledge of the XFL. So that is all. Take care and God bless you.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.